Global stocks mixed. Dollar extends gains against the yen. Asian stocks were mostly higher on Monday after the People's Bank of China kept loan prices unchanged. The Japanese market was modestly higher following the record closing highs on Wall Street Friday. The Shanghai Composite was up 0.66% to 3,095.79. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong dipped 0.6% by the end of the session. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 rose 0.18% to close at 24,083.51. South Korea's Kospi added 0.54% to close at 2,262.64. Meanwhile, Australian S&P ASX 200 was up 0.22%. Overall, the MSCI Asia ex-Japan Index was marginally lower. European markets closed slightly lower on Monday as policymakers and business leaders gather in Davos for the annual World Economic Forum conference. Judging by market dynamics, investors have already digested easing tensions between the U.S. and China after the two sides signed a Phase 1 trade deal last week. The Stoxx Europe 600 index fell 0.1%, while the UK's FTSE 100 gauge slipped 0.3% at the start of the week. Meanwhile, the IMF trimmed its 2020 global growth forecast to 3.3% from 3.4% previously in October. The 2021 forecast was also lowered to 3.4% from 3.6%. 2020 Eurozone GDP is estimated at 1.3% versus 1.4% in October due to manufacturing contraction in Germany. On the positive side, the fund has said that the economic uncertainty is diminished with risks less skewed toward negative outcomes, albeit still tilted to the downside. The IMF also pointed to negative signs that manufacturing and global trade are bottoming out, which is partially due to the U.S.-China trade deal. U.S. markets were closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. On Friday, Wall Street indexes rose to fresh record highs on the back of positive economic data from both the U.S. and China. The Dow gained 50.46 points, or 0.17%, to close at 29,348.10. The S&P 500 climbed 0.39% to 3,329.62. The Nasdaq Composite advanced 0.34% to end the day at 9,388.94. On Tuesday, President Donald Trump will speak at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. IBM, Netflix, and United Airlines are all scheduled to report quarterly earnings after the closing bell today. In currencies, the euro turned positive by the end of the day, while the dollar extended gains against the Japanese yen. The US dollar-Japanese yen has settled marginally above 110.00. Further rise in the pair confirms that the safe haven yen demand remains subdued, and traders continue to cheer the signing of a partial trade deal between the US and China. The US dollar-Japanese yen, which is holding above the 110 level since Friday, remains elevated and ready to challenge fresh highs in the near term if risk sentiment is positive. In commodities, Brent rallied to $65.70, initially on the news that a key export pipeline in western Libya was blocked, forcing additional production cuts a day after a port blockade had already halved the country's output. Tensions in Iraq also contributed to the jump in crude prices. Against this backdrop, the futures gained 1.3%, but failed to see sustained gains and retreated back to the levels marginally above the $65 handle. Baker Hughes reported Friday that the number of active U.S. oil rigs rose by 14 to 673 this week. That followed the decline of the past 3 weeks. Gold prices managed to advance marginally after the International Monetary Fund kept its gloomy outlook for 2020, shaving its forecast for global growth this year to 3.3% from 3.4% in October. The precious metal received no significant support from the unrest in Iraq on the weekend. The bullion increased to $1,562 early on Monday, but trimmed gains and settled at around $1,560 afterwards. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe to always be in touch with the latest market news.